What's up, guys? I hope you are all having a beautiful week. Today is Thursday, and we are excited as hell to talk about the My Hero Academia chapter 336 leaks. Last week's chapter was pretty intense with all the reveals going on, but I did check Twitter, and it spoiled me a bit before I was able to read the leaks myself. And the chapter was not what I thought it would be, with a lot of more twists and turns, especially from Horikoshi. I feel like he's really duped us as an audience, which I'm all here for. But without further ado, let's hop right into the leaks of chapter 336. So the chapter is titled Villain, and the chapter begins with Deku and Bakugo training. He says that the cluster is based on the principle that he learned from Endeavor of concentrating and releasing. Bakugo produces multiple spheres of sweat and explodes them simultaneously. That is why he is wearing his winter costume to increase sweat production. Todoroki is also training. He wants to improve the control of the two halves of his body. Kaminari is talking to Mineta, saying that the two enemy generals are weakened. Also, Gigantomachia is still sleeping and has been imprisoned, so the chances of victory are greater than ever. We see a metal structure being built, supposedly the place where they are holding Machia. It has been a long time since we've seen the boys train, and I'm glad to see it. I'm really excited for Bakugo to show us this new cluster move, especially modeling it after Endeavor. I'm sure it's going to be such a crazy high damage output ability. And with Todoroki, I know us as an audience have been itching for him to get more spotlight on the show, and it will be absolutely monstrous to see him one day reach his full potential, but we sure as hell know that needs to be freaking soon because there isn't much time. Bakugo says that they are way too optimistic and that he has 3 points to prove how difficult it will be. First, they are unlikely to find All For One. Until today, even when they found the Nomu Labs or Shigaraki's hideout, All For One was never there. Besides, he hid for several years after he lost to All Might for the first time. Second, Shigaraki was already weakened in the last battle, and even then he put in all that work. To think that it will be an easy fight now, even more so with the reduced number of heroes, is very naive. And third, the villains have already had a plan and are waiting for the right moment. Even supposing that Search was destroyed in the fight against Star, they obviously have a plan B. The best thing to do now is prepare for their attack. Yeah, Bakugo is right. I guess regardless of what they have on paper in terms of the damage that Shigaraki is currently going through given his fight with Star and Gigantomachia being imprisoned and all of that, nonetheless, All For One, as we know and as Bakugo especially knows, is a strategical genius, and there is not a chance in hell that our heroes are going to be casually approaching them and taking them on despite their quote-unquote weakened state. That would just be playing into their trap. Deku responds saying that he still wants to go search for them, but Ida chops him on the head, telling him not to think of me, but us. They also say that now they can move around more freely because Uraraka's speech has brought the students closer to the civilians. The conclusion Kaminari comes to is that no matter if they move or wait, All For One will surely be laughing at them. We then see Hagakure in the forest, saying that a certain someone is quite depressed since the end of the war. She watches 3 people talking in the distance. One of them says that the other has to obey because he is back giving orders. They say that he just needs to keep doing what he always did because the signs are disguised as everyday actions and are impossible to trace. Hagakure then thinks that even after Midoriya came back, this person didn't smile once. She was worried about him and went after him, but that's when she found out. Ayoma is the traitor. His parents are telling him that they need to keep obeying All For One or else they will be killed. I honestly feel like a fool. Similarly to everybody else in the community, I really thought Hagakure was the traitor, and to be honest, I was a little bit of an asspool. I wasn't really giant on board with this theory, and I know one of my friends, Sailor, he wasn't a giant fan of this theory either. And it has nothing to do with Hagakure necessarily. It just seemed kind of like a random thing to just throw into the story. But I did have some suspicions last week that perhaps given her invisibility quirk, that she could have observed someone being the traitor. And it turns out that was the case. And despite that being like a brief thought in my head, I really thought it was kind of confirmed by Horikoshi that she was the traitor, especially with the sequential paneling. But I guess he kind of fooled all of us, and so props to Horikoshi. I'm a much bigger fan of Ayoma being the traitor, and that's a theory I've been on board with for a few years. Hagakure says that he has already obeyed All For One's request as the school year started, and then informed him the location of the training camp without anyone finding out. Ayoma cries and tries to oppose them, but his parents quickly say that they are not doing it because they like it either, but it is too late to go against him. Hagakure is listening to everything and can't believe it. She thinks back to the villain's attack on the USJ in the forest. Ayoma's mother says that they only wanted their son to be happy, and we see a small flashback. She asks him, "Do you want to be like everyone else, Yuga?" And he replies, "Yes, because being the only one different is scary." Ayoma was born without a quirk, so his parents asked All For One to grant him one so he could chase his dreams. Hagakure realizes that she needs to warn a teacher, but sees someone approaching. Ayoma still cries, saying that he has suffered all his time. He dedicated himself to this role so as to not arouse suspicion and not to be consumed by guilt. When All For One was arrested in Kamino, he thought he could finally live peacefully with his friends, but he was wrong. His parents apologized, and Ayoma says he did all this to protect them because he didn't want them to be killed. They then ask him to continue protecting them, but at this moment, Deku arrives, brought by Hagakure. Okay, this development and motive behind it is much more intensive than I initially thought. Ayoma was deprived of a quirk, and All For One, being the only person able to grant individuals quirks, grants Ayoma a quirk all on the parents' accord. Similarly to any type of gift, whether in real life or within fellow manga and anime, like a heavenly restriction, there's always a stipulation. So the parents couldn't just expect All For One to give their son a quirk and not expect something in return. And now for years, Ayoma has struggled with this fact that his quirk was given at a cost, and that cost is the trust of his friends and betraying others around him. I really do feel for Ayoma, and he's stuck in such a hard place having to decide whether to protect his family or to protect his friends, because whatever path he chooses, someone's gonna get hurt. Also, Deku's arriving. I thought our boy was training, but let's find out. Deku says he heard from Hagakure something about the traitor and asked if it's true, but the parents try to play dumb. Ayoma cries nonstop while looking at Midoriya. He blames himself for being the only one who didn't say anything to him during the rescue, and we see a panel showing his reaction to the letter Deku left when he left UA. Midoriya said that he had gone to the forest to look for him because he realized something was wrong. Ayoma was the only one who remained sad all this time. It is at this point he starts to break and he starts talking, saying that he leaked the location of the camp in USJ. I am a disgusting villain, Midoriya, he says. The last panel is a flashback of the cheeses he left on Deku's balcony during that one chapter, which spelled, I know everything. So guys, did Horikoshi just kind of insert a Draco Malfoy type individual within our story? Because damn, I'm really feeling for Ayoma at the end of this chapter. Clearly he is disgusted with himself, he hates himself, he views himself as a villain for all of the actions he's done, but at the end of the day, what the hell is he supposed to do? Whether it's you or I in his shoes, I would like for us to be like, oh yeah, sure, we would take the heroic path and somehow save our friends and save our family and not betray anybody. But at the end of the day, guys, we got to remember these individuals are in high school. They're like 15 or 16 years old. Ayoma simply doesn't know what to do. But thankfully, our boy Deku is here. And as we know, Deku has a protagonist type effect on individuals. And if anyone can help Ayoma rid himself of this self-hatred, of this disgust towards himself, it is Deku. And additionally, if any group of individuals are able to solve this issue and strike back at All For One for putting their friend through all of this pain, it is our big three from UA. Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku, and I can imagine that they are going to be absolutely pissed when they find out this information. Maybe Bakugo a little bit at Ayoma, but I think the rest of them are fully going to be entirely upset and enraged at All For One, which will make for this final fight between All For One and Shigaraki versus the entire school and our favorite heroes is going to make it all the more emotionally impactful. I'm still pretty amazed the fact that the traitor was not Hagakure, and I am so glad it is not Hagakure and it's rather Ayoma. This is a much better traitor situation, and I am beyond surprised at Horikoshi for kind of fooling everybody. I know the anime community was pretty split on this, and people were either hating it or being, I guess, okay with the fact Hagakure being a traitor, but guys, here we are, and once again, we have another traitor video. This might be the third one in the past like month or two from all the information from Nezu to Hagakure to Ayoma. But it seems we finally reached the conclusion. Thank God, after all of these years, the pieces are finally fully laid out. So guys, if you enjoyed this chapter breakdown and discussion of chapter 336, a lot of stuff went on. It was a long chapter. Please don't forget to drop a like if you haven't already, and let me know what you thought of the chapter in the comment sections below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well, as we are continually pushing for 1,000. I hope you're all having a great week so far, and hopefully this chapter did put a smile on your face. I know that for me, manga and anime in situations where I'm not feeling the best, always puts a smile on my face. I love making content for you all, and y'all are like family to me. So please just take care of yourself, be happy, smile more. As always, my friends, be greedier, and I'll catch you all next time.